War came fast in the spring of 1940. Most people think France collapsed without resistance. They think the German advance crushed everything in its path. But the truth is far more complicated. France did not lack courage. France did not lack firepower. And France did not lack tanks. In many ways, France entered the war with some of the strongest armored vehicles of the time. Yet those tanks could not stop the German Blitz. This is the story of why. We begin with the small machines. The AMR-33 and the AMR-35, light reconnaissance tanks, fast, agile, designed to scout ahead of the main force. They carried thin armor and light weapons. Crews trusted speed over protection. These tanks were never built to take on German panzer divisions head-on. They were eyes and ears for the army. But in 1940, the battlefield moved too fast. Scouts were swallowed by chaos. Radio messages failed. Roads clogged with refugees. The small AMR units fought bravely, but they were outmatched by the speed and coordination of the German attack. Next came the Renault D1 and the Renault D2, heavier, better armored, armed with cannons that could knock out early German tanks. Crews trained for slow, methodical warfare. They expected set-piece battles. They expected time to prepare positions. What they faced instead was shock. German columns bypassed strong points. They cut telephone lines. They struck at weak spots. The D1 and D2 units fought in scattered pockets, often alone, often without support. Many were destroyed not because they were weak, but because they never received clear orders. Then we reached the Renault R35 and Renault R40. These were the true workhorses of the French infantry. Thick armor, good protection, reliable on rough ground. Thousands of soldiers placed their hopes on them. When the German Blitz began, these tanks moved forward to counterattack. And here is the surprise. In many duels, they won. German crews were shocked by how tough the French armor was. Early German cannons struggled to penetrate it. French tanks often survived hits that should have destroyed them. But the advantage did not last. Many R-35 tanks had one huge weakness. Most had a single-person turret. The commander aimed the gun. He loaded the ammunition. He fired the weapon. He scanned the battlefield. He gave orders to the crew. He did everything at once. In a fast-moving battle, this was overwhelming. German tanks had multi-person turrets. Their commanders focused only on commanding. That difference changed everything. Now we come to the famous vehicles. The Hotchkiss H-35 and the Hotchkiss H-39. Well-built, reliable, armored from front to back. These tanks held the line in some of the fiercest fighting of the campaign. Many German reports mention them with respect. A direct hit often bounced off. But again, the single-person turret slowed them down. French tank commanders could not react quickly to sudden threats. They often fought blind. German radio networks allowed instant coordination. French units relied on flags, hand signals, or messengers. Against fast-moving German units, this was fatal. Yet the greatest French tank of the campaign was the Somua S35. Thick armor, strong gun, high speed for its weight. Many historians consider it one of the best tanks in the world in 1940. German crews feared it. When the Somua appeared, entire German columns halted. Reports showed German units calling for artillery or airstrikes rather than fighting Somua tanks directly. In tank-against-tank combat, the Somua often won. But even the Somua suffered from the same core issue: single-person turret, no radio in many units, no combined command system. The tank was powerful, but the army around it was not ready for a new kind of war. Now we turn to the heavy machines. The B-1 Bis, a monster of French engineering. thick armor that German guns could barely penetrate. 2 separate cannons, a heavy howitzer mounted in the hull, and a turret gun above. German infantry feared it. German tank crews avoided it. In many battles, a single B-1 BIS tank held off entire columns. There is a famous story from one day in May. A lone French B-1 BIS destroyed over a dozen German vehicles and then rolled away still fighting. It was almost unstoppable. Almost. The B-1 BIS burned huge amounts of fuel. It required constant maintenance. It was slow. And every French tank, no matter how good, faced the same wider issue. German forces moved as one unified machine. Infantry, tanks, artillery, air power, radio-linked, fast, flexible. When a French tank won a local firefight, the German Blitz simply flowed around it. Cut the supply lines. Isolate the crew. Strike from the side. Strike from the rear. No tank can survive alone. And then there were the giants of a past era, the FT-17 and the Char 2C. The FT-17 was the hero of the First World War, but by 1940 it was slow and lightly armed. Many were still in service. Crews knew they stood little chance against modern German armor. Yet they fought anyway. The Char 2C was even older, huge, impressive, but far too slow for the new war. Most never reached the front. So why could France's best tanks not stop the German Blitz? The answer is simple. France had strong tanks. But Germany had a strong system, fast communication, clear leadership, unified strategy, and a style of war built on speed. French tank crews fought hard. They fought with courage. They fought with skill. Many of them bought time with their lives. But in a war decided by movement, they could not be everywhere at once. This is the story your images tell. A story of power. A story of bravery. A story of machines that were strong, but trapped in a system that could not move fast enough to survive.